Foolishness, without awareness, is more dangerous than weakness, especially in a world ruled by a blend of brilliant minds and reckless fools. Today, we'll uncover 6 destructive male traits that define the modern idiot. Why? Because foolishness isn't harmless. It doesn't just sabotage individuals. It ruins empires, collapses families, and erases legacies. If you fail to recognize these traits in yourself or in those around you, you will be dominated, defeated, and eventually forgotten. Machiavelli warned that a ruler surrounded by idiots becomes one. The danger isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it appears in silence, in a room of men where one false belief dominates: that politeness is protection. The native man believes that compassion will shield him from betrayal, that kindness will inspire honor, that respect will be returned in kind. He assumes that by lowering his weapons, others will do the same. But power isn't played like that. The fool sees his gentle heart as nobility. In reality, it makes him a target. Observe him in public, apologizing for offenses he never committed, accepting polite insults, agreeing to terms that degrade him, laughing awkwardly as others rise above him. He calls it kindness. The powerful call it weakness. What he doesn't see is that charity without calculation is vulnerability to the cunning. The wise man can be generous, but only with purpose. He gives, but never sacrifices power. The fool, however, trusts without strategy, forgives without discernment, and gives without limit. He believes his kindness will change the world. In truth, it only makes him more usable. Watch how quickly predators gather around him. He praises manipulators, he empowers takers, he enables narcissists, and all the while, he believes that if he gives enough, people will finally recognize his worth. But sympathy doesn't elevate a man. Precision, presence, and boundaries do. This man says yes when he should say no. He helps those who never asked, hoping to be noticed. He believes goodness earns protection, but never learns the darker truth. The world uses good men. It rarely rewards them. The more he bends, the more pressure others apply. The more he gives, the less he's valued. The more he fits in, the more he disappears. He offers no resistance, no danger, no spark. And when the wolves arrive, they recognize it. He speaks too quickly. His silence is awkward, not strategic. His words are driven by fear of being ignored, not by necessity. He talks to gain approval, not to deliver impact. He becomes predictable, loud, and foolish in the presence of sharper men. Put him in a room of strangers and watch. Within minutes, his beliefs, insecurities, dreams, and weaknesses are laid bare. He believes honesty is virtue, so he exposes his frustrations, ambitions, and secrets, thinking it will earn trust. But sincerity shown to the wrong people is not noble. It's suicide. A man who cannot control his tongue cannot control his fate. The fool creates noise while the wise man listens. The fool entertains while the wise gather intel. His need to impress becomes his downfall. He thinks sharing ideas earns respect, but some use his words against him. He doesn't understand that true power is quiet. The most dangerous man is often the least expressive. The loudest in the room is rarely the one in control. Like a commander shouting before battle, the fool reveals his position too soon. He speaks before thinking, drawing hostility from the strong. When he overexpresses emotions, he becomes manipulable. When he speaks of his dreams, he awakens rivals. He'll boast of victories he hasn't earned. He'll complain about struggles he should be solving. He'll talk about loyalty before it's tested. He'll vent sorrow, envy, and regret, believing it makes him real, but in reality, it gives others the tools to destroy him. The more he speaks, the less they fear him. Every word chips away at his dignity, his mystery, his power. He thinks he's forming bonds. What he's doing is making himself smaller. Smart men use trust as a tactical advantage, after it's been earned through time, fire, and conflict. Fool, on the other hand, gives it away by default. He never tests people. He never studies their character under stress. He assumes the best because it's easier, more comfortable. He tells himself everyone has good intentions. He believes words are always sincere. He forgives before he understands. He swears loyalty to masks he's never even examined. He doesn't trigger pressure to see how people react. He doesn't ask the hard questions. He believes charm is sincerity. He confuses smiles with truth. His ego insists his judgments are accurate, so he sees what he wants. He calls blind faith morality, or worse, love. But trust is a transaction. It must be earned through trial, time, and proof. Anything less is just blindness, disguised as virtue. The strong man watches first. He listens. He tests. He offers small pieces of confidence to see how they're treated. But the idiot leaps. He hands over the keys before knowing who the gatekeeper really is. And then he's shocked when the door he unlocked leads to a trap. He never suspects that the brightest smiles often hide the sharpest knives. Men who want respect differ from men who want to be liked. The former demand it through presence and power. The latter bleed for attention. And the fool, he always chooses attention. He'll sacrifice integrity, instincts, and values for a compliment, a nod, or a brief moment of acceptance. He doesn't understand that those who beg for favor are never taken seriously. This man enters a room and, with his very posture and tone, begs the question, "Do you like me?" He's agreeable even when he disagrees. He laughs at jokes that insult him. He praises those he resents because he believes being liked means being safe. But that's not how the world works. The man who depends on validation is always at the mercy of those who grant it. A single compliment makes him loyal. A single rejection ruins his day. A cold glance sends him spiraling. Because his self-worth is external, he becomes a puppet, waiting, hoping, and craving approval. He over-explains, apologizes for nothing, and agrees with the masses, even when they contradict reality. He blends in, becomes another harmless, forgettable face. A man who never challenged, never resisted, never led. And the people he tries to impress, they may smile, but inside they feel nothing for him. Respect begins with boundaries. It's forged in stillness, in mystery, in restraint. But the foolish man exposes himself, hoping to be appreciated for his vulnerability alone. Instead of admiration, he earns normalcy. He becomes interchangeable. Leaders don't crave applause. They embody what others aspire to. But the idiot waits for praise, like a child waits for candy. Eager, needy, fragile. He can't handle distance or criticism. If attention fades, he'll do anything to win it back, even if it costs him his dignity. A man who cannot control his emotions cannot control his destiny. The fool's reactions reveal his fragility, not strength or sincerity. His emotions, not his strategy, dictate his decisions. He lashes out at petty insults, crumbles after a single setback, and obsesses over revenge he's too weak to execute. He mistakes raw emotion for power and loses every time. He believes working wisely means feeling deeply, but emotion muddies the battlefield. It clouds judgment, rushes decisions, and exposes vulnerabilities. The fool's instincts make him the most predictable man in any room. He explodes when provoked, panics when things fall apart, and reveals his hand before anyone else even plays. He celebrates too soon and regrets too publicly. Watch him when he's insulted. Instead of responding with calm contempt, he yells, he threatens. His pride is his only shield, so he wears it recklessly. When he fails, he doesn't regroup. He complains. He begs for empathy, telling anyone who'll listen how unfair life has been. But every time he speaks this way, he confirms what the strong already suspect. He is not resilient. The wise man learns early to pause, to observe, to wait. He doesn't move until he understands the ground beneath him. But the fool acts on impulse. He strikes when angry, retreats when afraid, and reveals his strategy when flustered. You should feel emotion, but only when done deliberately. The fool doesn't feel, he erupts. His anger is uncontrolled. His envy is transparent. Disappointment overwhelms him. His enemies don't need to guess. His face, tone, and body betray everything. They watch, study, and control him like a puppet tied to invisible strings. He never examines himself. He never asks, "What weakness in me allowed this?" Instead, he blames others for every failure. The world wronged him. Envy denied him. Others overlooked him. Never does he admit that it was his poor choices, emotional chaos, and lack of discipline that put him where he is. This man remains imprisoned, because no man can change what he refuses to admit is broken. He cannot evolve if he believes he's already perfect. He cannot adapt if he always plays the victim. He doesn't want to transform through pain. He only wants to be seen suffering. His pain is performative. His rage is theatrical. He curses the heavens, screams at friends, rages against life itself, yet never turns inward. He won't dissect the strategy behind his failure. He won't wield his scars like weapons. He only whines. The idiot fears responsibility. Accountability demands change, and change requires effort. It's easier to keep saying, "It wasn't my fault," than to look in the mirror and admit, "I wasn't good enough." That phrase terrifies the fool, because it means he must grow. It demands maturity, discipline, courage. And deep down, he knows he lacks the spine to walk that path. So he projects. He mocks other men's success. He ridicules the awakened. He surrounds himself with flatterers who confirm his illusions. He avoids confrontation and clings to comfort. He'll call true friends traitors and dismiss real enemies as lucky. He refuses to face the hardest truth of all. His greatest enemy is his own cowardice. Now you see him. Not the cartoonish fool, but the hidden one. The idiot, cloaked in charm, in noise, in social approval. You'll see his weakness in his rationalizations, in every defensive remark, in every reaction that exposes more than it protects. He's surrounded by entertainment, attention, and lies, but starved of reality and inner quiet. And that's why he remains powerless. Machiavelli held contempt for such men. He saw them rot under the weight of their own wasted potential, destroyed, not by enemies, but by 1,000 tiny betrayals of their character, a refusal to learn, a fear of discomfort, a dependence on approval, a hatred for accountability. These are not random flaws, they are fatal patterns. If you recognize these traits in yourself, it means your life is shifting. One path leads to comfort, excuses, and decline. The other demands pain, control, and radical self-honesty. Most will never take the second path, but a few will. They will become dangerous. And those few, I feared them. I honored them. They became unstoppable.